Senator Leahy, I think, by remote.
Mr. Chairman,
Leahy,
are we coming through there at the hearing?
you're good.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm afraid listening to this from the beginning that this seems more like a political errand for President Trump's reelection effort, and perhaps for some others in the committee. I think it's offensive to all Americans who pay taxes. I realize the president does not. But the Senate apparently has no time to address the deadly COVID pandemic that's surging again. It's taken more than 200,000 American lives. Instead, it seems, Mr. Chairman, your party, Republicans, are obsessed with two priorities. First, a mad rush to confirm a Supreme Court nominee on the eve of a presidential election, just a few days before the Supreme Court will consider the Republican lawsuit to strip millions of Americans of their health care. And then, of course, to once again investigate the investigators who are charged with responding to Russia's brazen attack on our 2016 elections, and then candidate Trump's really brazen embrace of that attack. I've always thought of this as the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I've appreciated my 40 years on it, but I have never thought of it as either the Trump re-election committee or any other re-election committee. And we shouldn't be debasing ourselves this way. Now, Director Comey, you and I have known each other for a long time. You served our country through both Republican and Democratic administrations. I expressed to you some of my strong disagreements with decisions you made as FBI director, but I also recognize you were placed in truly unprecedented situations. I've never questioned your integrity or your loyalty to the law and to the country. Now, whether Vladimir Putin is interfering in our elections or paying bounties to kill our troops or brazenly poisoning dissidents, it seems President Trump is incapable of publicly criticizing him. The Mueller investigation ultimately decided not to look into any financial relationships between the president and Russia, despite some on the team who believed that it'd be relevant to their central investigation. We now know that President Trump owes more than $400 million in debt to largely unknown sources. In 2014, the president's son said the Trump organization did not rely on American banks for financing. Instead, they received all the funding we need out of Russia. Now, that was a Trump statement, and not anybody else's. Now, you stated that you think it's possible the Russians have something over the president. Why do you believe that this is a possibility? Have you ever felt this way about an American president?
I've never felt that way about an American president. And I don't know whether the Russians have something over President Trump, but it's difficult to explain his conduct, his statements in any other way, especially his refusal to criticize Vladimir Putin, even in public. And so it raises a significant question, and obviously the question is only deepened by disclosure, if it's true, of significant indebtedness.
Enough to raise suspicions in your mind, based on your experience. Thank you. Now, yesterday, reportedly over the objections of career officials, the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, declassified and released unverified Russian intelligence, likely disinformation about former Secretary Clinton. The information was rejected by the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee. But Mr. Ratcliffe has refused to testify in public about our own intelligence agency's assessment of global threats to the United States, including from Russia. Are you concerned, Mr. Comey, that intelligence leaders handpicked for their partisan loyalties are weaponizing intelligence by selectively releasing foreign disinformation and withholding credible U.S. intelligence assessments?
I don't understand Mr. Ratcliffe's letter well enough to comment. It's confusing. It contains within it a statement, I think, that it's unverified information. So I really don't know what he's doing.
I see so many of my colleagues on the other side trying to delegitimize the investigation into Russia's documented interference in our 2016 election. We know from our own reporting that Russia is again trying to interfere in our 2020 election. Just this month, FBI Director Wray testified that Russia is very active in its efforts to influence and undermine the 2020 elections. If you had to convey one message to the American people about the persistent threat of Russian interference in our democracy or any foreign interference, what would it be?
Know that a nation that does not have America's best interests at heart wants to reelect Donald Trump. Let that sink in. Let it guide how you think about the way we ought to conduct ourselves going forward.
Thank you. I have a similar feeling. And you, yesterday, the former National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn's lawyer, was pressed by a judge about her communications with the Justice Department and the White House. After initially trying and failing to claim executive privilege, and after making the argument for months that Flynn was not receiving special treatment, she revealed that she has directly talked to President Trump about the case, has asked him not to pardon Flynn. Astonishingly, she also revealed that she talked to a Trump campaign lawyer about the issue as well, as in part of the Trump re-election effort. Now, you once supervised this investigation. What does the disclosure mean for how the Trump administration politicizes its official law enforcement responsibilities?
Well, again, I've watched this as a private citizen, read the pleadings in the court case involving former National Security Advisor Flynn, and I think the department's conduct in handling it is deeply concerning, best summarized by the retired federal judge who briefed the issue for Judge Sullivan in the District of Columbia District Court. It's deeply concerning because this guy's getting treated in a way that nobody's ever been treated before.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, I may have, after hearing the other questions during this hearing, I may have some questions for the record.
Absolutely, Senator Leahy.